Okay. Before working on disk management, we need to work on this file system. What file system this server operating system is going to support. I hope everyone able to see my screen. Okay. So for every operating system to load an file system drive, what we are going to do, we are going to load the operating system on a storage disk. What is the storage? Here it is a hard disk. Okay. Where we are going to install files. Installing server operating system is nothing but it is going to copy certain files and write the data on the hard disk. Okay, so before writing the data, before storing the data, what the operating system is going to do, it is going to format that storage device, that hard disk, okay, to copy the files, to install the files and other things. What file system it is going to support? File system is nothing but it is going to create a storage device in such a way that it is going to create an indexing to write the data, just like example of test book. Okay, in test book, what you can have an index page wherein you can find out what is the topic and which page it is available. So that by indexing, you can directly refer to the respective page to read the respective information. Okay, here file system is nothing but it is going to create an indexing to understand on its own, to write the data and read the data. Okay, that indexing is nothing but we calling as a file system. What is a file system here? File system is going to create NTFS, the server operating system. Okay, it is going to load on an NTFS file system. There are different file systems are available. There are different file systems are available. Okay, what file system for Windows operating system? The operating systems are different. Like desktop operating system is available, server operating system is available. So what is Microsoft Windows operating system supports file systems? Okay, so it is going to support 3 file systems. Okay, what is the 3 file system? FAT16, FAT32, NTFS. But we are working on Windows Server operating system. The Windows Server operating system only installs on NTFS file system only. Okay, what happens while installing? It is going to format whatever the disk you are going to attach to the system. Okay, the disk it is going to format with NTFS file system, NTFS. Okay, so once the installation is completed, the server we can create additional disk. Either I can choose FAT32 or NTFS, but the operating system installs wherever it is going to install the first partition, the first system file system, that should be NTFS only. Okay, without NTFS, the server operating system, desktop operating system, it can load on FAT16, FAT32 according to the respective desktop operating system. Okay, so these file systems are different from vendor to vendor. For Microsoft, it can install on these 3 file systems. Okay, if you talk about server operating system, Windows Server operating system, it installs only on NTFS. If you consider Linux operating system, if you consider AX operating system, those respective server operating systems are going to load and respect to different file systems according to that respective OS. Linux, it is going to ext and other file systems. You can search internet, what is the file system for Windows Server? Okay, Windows Server 2016. Okay, what information do you are going to get? Okay, you can try to install operating system 2012, 2016 latest versions. Okay, this is the basic server installation. So with this understanding, you can install operating system either 2016 or 2012 on anything as per your requirement. As you are going to work on system administration, there are legacy systems also available, legacy versions also available. Legacy versions in the sense, the versions which are end of life. There is no support from the Microsoft vendor. That we call it as a legacy operating systems. So legacy operating systems, there are some limitations on the disk size and other systems. Okay, we have in a legacy environment, some clients application is going to work on only legacy system. It is not going to support latest versions. So some environments wherein you are going to work, even 2000 servers available, Windows NT servers available. Okay, so you need to understand the basic concept. What is a file system? Okay, what is that respect to operating system version limitations? Okay, so coming to this, what file system? Okay, server OS can support FAT16, FAT32, and other file systems. What supports, what it is supports, what it can read the data. Okay, from which operating, which file system it can read the data. Installing file system, installing OS on a file system is different. Supporting reading the data, respect to OS reading the data on which file systems different. Okay. So reading the data is possible, different file systems. What are the file system? You can search internet. Okay. First, how it is going to create file system? What is the layout? Creating file system, we know that it is FAT16, FAT32, NTFS. That is okay. Now, what is MBR and what is GPT? MBR, it is a layout direction in a file system. While creating a file system, either I'm creating NTFS, the NTFS file system, it is going to create a layout. Layout in the sense, first, first sector and other things, boot sector, first sector. Okay, it is going to create a layout to understand, to write the data, to create an indexing and all those things. It is going to solve using some layout. Okay, layout is nothing but, for example, if you have a notepad for a notebook, you are going to create a first page as an indexing. What you are going to do, you are going to create 2 lines or 3 lines. First line, you are going to make it as a serial number. Second line, you are going to make it as a subject. Third line, you are going to make it as a page number. That is going to write you are going to write the data, serial number 1, topic 1. It is going to be available on page number this. That in the sense you are creating an indexing on your own. The layout, how the layout is going to create a file system before writing the data. The file system is a NTFS and it is going to use 2 layouts. What is the 2 layouts? One is MBR and the other one is GPT. What is the MBR limitation? What is the GPT limitation? During the lab, I can show you. Okay. Once the layout is done, once the layout is done, we are going to create a partitions. What partitions it is going to create? What is a primary partition? Okay, partition is nothing but I am going to create my notebook in a different sections. Different sections in the sense I am creating a notepad, indexing done. Indexing, I created lines. Okay, after that what I'm going to do, so for English, certain page numbers, half of the book. Okay, for mathematics, half of the book. Okay, like that I'm going to create a section in my notebook. Similar way, whatever the hard disk is available, that hard disk, how can I create a partition? I can create a partition for entire book as a single partition, or I can divide that particular book, my notebook, in a different sections also. That creating a section is nothing but partition. Okay, that partitions in system operating system, we are going to call it as a primary partition, extended partition, logical partition. Okay, these are the partition types according to the layout. Okay, but what is this boot partition and system partition? Boot partition is nothing but the files, the data which is required to boot the system, to understand the system starting. What are the files are required to start the system? That files are loaded on this boot partition. Okay, system partition. System partition, and other than the boot files, what are the files are required for operating system to perform? That entire files are going to load on system partition. Okay, so next one, drive letter assignment. How many drive letters, how many disks I can create? How many partitions I can create? If I create a partition, that partition I need to represent in a drive letter. Okay, that drive letters, how many drive letters are available? Generally, we have a 26 letters. Out of 26 letters, we have certain limitations. We need to assign one drive letter for CD-ROM. We need to assign two drive by default operating system design. By default, it assigns two drive letters A and B to floppy drives. Are we using floppy drives now? We are not using floppy drives. So, but that A and B system at the system end, it is by default assigned to floppy drives. We cannot use that. And CD-ROM, if you have a CD-ROM in your system, it is going to occupy one drive letter. So out of 26, 3 letters are gone. So remaining are 23 available. So 23, out of 23, the system operating system we are loading on it by default is going to create a C drive. Okay, that is gone. So remaining, how many drive letters are available? So 22 available. Okay, so these 22, that in the sense I can create a partitions, 22 partitions to assign 22 drive letters. Without drive letter, I'm not able to call, I'm not going to call it as a path. Okay, there is a different option is available to create a partitions and assign some mount points, share folder. What is a share folder? What is a mount point? You need to go to Google and understand that concept. I am not going to talk about now. It is a basic understanding. We just create a partition and understanding the concept. There is an advanced concept wherein without drive letter also, I can create a partition. I can write the data on the respective partition. How it is possible? I'm going to show you just an example. Okay, I'll talk that. Okay. So what are the files required for boot? It is very, very important question for this server administration interview point of question. You need to search internet. For 2000 server, what is the boot files are available? For 2012, what is the boot process? Boot process. Files are required and you need to understand boot process. Okay, you need to understand this for interview process, interview purpose. What are the files required? Which file it is going to load first, and that file it is going to hand out to next action. Okay, to complete the server operating system and to get the log on screen. Before getting log on screen, what are the action it is going to perform at the background? That is the boot process. Okay, so generally it is going to start with post. What is a post? As soon as you power on the system, it is on the display on your laptop, on your desktop, any operating system. First, what it is going to do? Post. Post in the sense power on self-test. Power on self-test. Power on self-test, what it is going to do? Whatever the components connected to the motherboard and each electronic device is going to have some kind of program, some kind of power. What it is going to do, as soon as you power on, it is going to start recognizing on its on self, and then it is going to detect other devices to communicate, establish communication. So as soon as you power on, the motherboard is going to initiate, and then it is going to detect what are the devices. What is my display card? What is my network card? What CPU it is connected to my motherboard? Everything it is going to detect. The same components it is going to show on the screen. Okay, on the screen you're going to see what is the processor, what is the memory available. Whatever the screen, on the black screen you are able to see that screen, we call it as a post, power on self-test. At last, it is going to detect the hard disk. Hard disk, what is the boot options, boot order? In BIOS, in the motherboard, we are going to set a boot order. Which one is my first boot device? If you select hard disk, by default operating system where we are going to load on a hard disk. Okay, but during initial installation, what the boot order should be? CD-ROM, because we are going to insert a CD-ROM to load an operating system. Okay, so boot order, what is the boot order we need to maintain on motherboard BIOS settings? Okay, so what post is going to do? At the end, it is going to detect the hard disk. As soon as it detects the hard disk, the BIOS program, the program which is there on the motherboard, it is going to detect the MBR bootloader. Okay, for each operating system, that bootloader file will be there. That file it is going to detect and hand over the handshake. My part is done. I detected whatever the parts are available. I detected. I am presenting to you. Now from here you need to take further. That bootloader, what is the bootloader, where it is available on the hard disk. How it is created? While installing operating system, it creates a bootloader. Okay, that bootloader detects some important files, that is a boot files, to perform certain actions, and then you are going to get a screen. Okay, see, this is a file system, how it is created, indexing, and indexing where the bootloader file available. That is a boot partition, we call it as. Once bootloader is loaded, and it is going to start the operating system functions from the hard disk, where the boot partition. Okay, so you need to understand these concepts. Okay, so what is a boot process, what is the boot files? Okay, everything you should understand. Okay, this basic and dynamics I am going to show you in the lab. Okay, what is convert MBR to GPT, possible options? Convert to basic to dynamic disk, what is the possible options? You need to search internet. I'm going to show you just awareness. You need to search internet. What is the do's and don'ts while doing conversion from MBR to GPT? Okay, MBR and GPT. What is the formation available from basic to dynamic disk? Okay, what will happen? What my data availability while doing these two conversations? Okay, you need to search internet and understand. Okay, Srini, please share the screen. Okay, open this 13 system. Open disk management. How to open disk management? Close the disk management. Open server manager. So under server manager, under storage, you will find the disk management option. Okay. Generally, what are the drive letters are available? You can go to my computer. I can see what are the file systems are available. To the file system visibility on the my computer, on the disk, what are the disks are available? You can go to my computer and see. Open my computer. These are the drive letters are available. This is a free space availability and other things. Now what I'm going to do to manage these drive letters, to perform expansion or modifying this layout, where we need to go, I cannot create a new drive from here. I cannot extend a drive from here. Okay, I can do only format. Okay, I can do format for the respective folder drive letter. But to modify the settings, where I need to go, I need to go to disk management, server manager, and the server manager disk management option is available. If you are not able to find the disk management, what is the option? Search internet, how to configure disk management in 2012, how to configure disk management in 2018. You can search internet and understand. Okay, minimize this. As soon as we create a disk management, okay, expand the window. See, we added the disk. How it is possible adding the disk, I'll show you in virtualization class. So before working on disk management, you need to understand what is the requirement, client requirement. Okay, is it adding additional space to existing disk or creating additional disk? Okay, simplest example, you need to understand the requirement of, is there any possibility to create additional disk or to add an additional space to existing disk? Consider my laptop. The laptop hard disk is fixed. There is no additional bay available to add an additional disk. Okay, there is no option also to expand my hard disk. Okay, so we need to understand what is my available options on the server. If it is a physical server, there should be an option of adding additional disk. There is no option of expanding existing disk. Okay, so you need to understand that point and then go further. Okay, see, I created a virtual system. Because of virtual system, I'm able to add a additional disk and add an existing space. These options are available for virtualization layer. What is the benefits of virtualization layer? We'll discuss in virtualization class. Now the disk are added. Now what are the options we can do and make it possible? Okay, so whatever the disk is available, the disk 2 is available. Okay, first whatever the disk is available, what we need to do? We need to make it as an online. Right click on disk 2, right click on disk 2, and there is an option online. Okay, click on online. So it is showing as online but unknown and not initialized. It is showing as unknown, not initialized. Again, right click on the disk to initialize the disk. Okay, so here please wait. Here it is showing is what layout. I am creating a file system on a disk, hard disk. Now what layout I need to do? Okay, what layout I'm going to select? MBR and GPT. Okay, what is MBR limitations? What is GPT limitation? By default, server operating system, it is going to format the layout in a MBR only. Okay, what is the limitation of MBR? If we are looking for file system size more than 2 TB, if you are looking for file size more than 2 TB, you need to choose a GPT. Okay, if your file system is not going to reach until 2 TB, it is recommended to go with MBR layout only. Okay, MBR layout is recommended and below 2 TB size of the disk. Okay, hope you are clear. If you are file system, if you are creating a drive, if you are creating a file system more than 2 TB, then you have to choose only GPT. There is no option with the MBR. There is no possibility to recognize the disk above 2 TB. Okay, make a note. When we are going to do use GPT, we are going to use GPT only when it is possible of more than 2 TB. If you are looking for size of 2 TB, then only it is possible. Otherwise, no. Okay. Select MBR, click OK. So this is ready. Now partition is ready. Layout is ready. Now I am going to create a partition. So what I did till now, I created a layout. Now it is the time to create a file system. Right click on this, new simple volume. There are different options are available. Cancel once, right click on new simple volume, new span volume, new step volume, new mirror volume, new RAID S volume. These all concepts comes under RAID concept. As you are working on server operating system, under server operating system, you are working on disk management. Whatever the RAID concepts comes here, we call it as a software RAID. Okay, what is we discussed in about storage concepts in a hardware class, RAID concept. We discussed about RAID concepts, hardware RAID and software RAID. Whatever the RAID concepts we are going to hear, this you can understand searching internet and understand what is span volume, what is a mirrored volume. Okay, so generally whatever the drive we are going to create, it is a single disk. We are going to with simple volume only. Simple volume in the sense we are considering only one disk. Okay, for other options it is requires 2 or 3 disks. Okay, that is different story. I am going to cover the later. Okay, click new simple volume. Next, select 2048. Next, Here drive letter, what are the drive letters are available? I told you total drive letters are available 26. Out of 26, drop down, drive letter drop down. There is A and B. I cannot assign A and B. Okay. There is a CD-ROM availability. If CD-ROM availability, that is going to assign one drive letter. So remaining drive letters I can use for creating partitions. Okay. So you need to understand what is the availability of drive letters. According to that, I can create these many partitions. Interview question. How about if I'm going to planning to create more than available drive letters? I would like to create more partitions. What is a possible option? Generally, this require comes in SQL database installation. In database installation, how to create partitions without drive letter. Okay, search internet, you will come to know how to create a partition without drive letter, how to make it useful. Without assigning drive letter, yeah, I can create a partition without assigning a drive letter, there is no possibility. But there is an option, assigning a drive letter. See, there is an option. Close this. Assign a drive letter. The second option is mount in the following empty NFS volume. Select that. What it is going to do, this option is going to allow you to map one particular folder. What I'm going to do, open folders. See here, what I'm going to do is, for example, under E drive, I'm going to create a folder. Go to open E drive, data. What I'm going to create here, share folders. Right click on new folder. Keep data 1. Create one more. Data 2. See, I created a folders. Okay. Generally, this folder, if you right click and go to properties, okay, 0 bytes. Okay. Where I created data 1, data 2, cancel. Where I created on data E, what is the size of data E drive? Close this. Size data E is 2 GB. Data E is a 2 GB. What I'm going to do here, I selected a 2 GB partition. Okay, I'm going to show you next class. First, assign a drive letter. Assign a drive letter and make it as a J. Assign a drive letter and show you mount file system how to do. Okay, J, click next. Value, okay. Default, leave default, NTFS. Just wait. Drop down file system. See here, FAT16, FAT32, NTFS. Okay, FAT32, NTFS. So in the sense, this operating system, I can create a partition with FAT16, FAT32, and NTFS. But the server operating system, where the server operating system is loaded, the boot partition and system partition is available on C drive. Okay, that C drive by default, it should be, see here. And if you see on top, you can see the CD. Okay, system, boot, phase file, active, crash down, partition, primary partition, all this information. Okay, see, it is showing as a status healthy, system, boot, phase file, active, and other things. That in the sense that C drive is acting as a system partition, boot partition. The phase file is available. It is active partition. What is a crash dump is available? Crash dump. What is a crash dump? We discussed about blue screen. Blue screen errors. What is a DMP file? That is a crash dump is configured. Okay. Primary partition. What is a partition layout? Primary partition. Now what I'm going to do here, what file systems I can create? I can create FAT32, NTFS. But boot system partition should be on NTFS only. Okay. It won't allow you to install first of all. Without NTFS, the server operating system is not going to possible to install. Okay. Now select NTFS. On a server in any enterprise administration, we are not going to create on a server FAT or FAT32. We always create NTFS. What is the advantage of NTFS? There is certain advantages NTFS available like disk quota, certain file systems. You can compare what is the comparison between FAT32 and NTFS. What is the advantages and disadvantages? Some interview questions also they may ask why I am using only NTFS on server operating system. Why I should not go FAT32? Okay, you should go internet and search the topic FAT32 versus NTFS. Okay, you should able to differentiate. Well, interview questions they may ask about you this particular point. What is FAT32? What is NTFS? Why I need to go only NTFS? Okay, can I load operating system on FAT32? You need to understand these basic concepts. Okay, can I create FAT32 file system? Yes, I can create file system FAT32, no issues. But what is the possible limitations? There are certain limitations, certain advantages, certain disadvantages. Okay, you need to compare. Okay, click next. I selected NTFS. Click next. Finish. 2ZIP created. Now, how much space is available? It is going to create a primary partition. I am going to create a how many primary partitions I can create on a single disk. Okay, I can create 3 primary partitions on a single disk. Okay, yesterday we discussed the session. Unfortunately, that session is audio and video is not matching. That's the reason I'm doing again. Okay, 3 primary partitions available. You can create 3 primary partition and 1 extended partition. Okay. On an extended partition, whatever the extended partition you are going to create, it is going to create a logical drive. One, as soon as you create an extended partition, it is going to convert entire layout into extended partition. What are the possible options? You can create a logical partitions. Okay. How many partitions I can create? I can create a number of partitions, no limitation on a single disk. Okay, I can create a number of partitions. How many primary partitions I can create? How many logical partitions? I can create a primary partitions only 3 on a single disk. Okay, I can create 3 primary partitions. I cannot create a 4th primary partition. Okay, it is not going to allow you to choose a extended or primary. As soon as you are going on creating partitions, it is going to create 3 primary partitions. If you are trying to create a 4th partition, it is going to create a extended. And whatever the partition you are going to create in extended, it is going to consider as a logical partition. Okay, so let's try. Right click on 8 GB unallocated space, new simple volume. Next, make it as 2 GB 2048. Next, next, next. Finish. Create one more partition, 1 GB 10424, 1024. Finish. Try to create one more 120 1024. See, now next. Finish. As soon as I create a see here, it is going to change the color of the partition. What it is going to create, see at the end, it is showing as unallocated black color. Okay, primary partition, it is showing some different color. Okay, extended partition, it is showing some different color. Free space and logical drive. The color representation shows it is a different colors denominations. Okay, so what I am going to do is here, I am going to create now drive letters. How to assign drive letters we understood here. How many primary partitions, how it is extended partition. under extended partition, what are the drives or what are the partitions I'm going to create, it is going to be become as a logical partitions. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a partition now under logical, and I'm going to without drive letter, what is the possibility? Okay. This 4 GB is available free space. I'm going to create a partition without drive letter. Okay. Okay. Click OK. Right click on 4 GB. New simple value. Next. Next. Here, I'm going to what I'm going to do instead of assigning drive letter, there is no drive letter assign as in drive letters are available. Assume that. How to do that? I can create a partition. I can write the data without assigning a drive letter. What is the possibility? The option is mount in the following NTFS folder. I'm going to create one folder. I already created a folder. Okay. I'm going to make that folder as a representation for my partition layout. Okay. Select mount. Select second option. Browse. Under D drive, we created a folder. Under E drive, we created a folder, right? If folder is not created, I can create a folder. By selecting the partition, I create a folder. Okay. I selected a data 1, data 2. Select data 1. Click OK. That in the sense, I created empty folder. Empty folder, how much time, how much space it is going to occupy? That data E drive, it is a 2 GB file system. Under 2 GB file system, I created a folder. That folder is going to be not even 1 MB, not even 1 KB file size, folder size. But that folder I'm using and mapping to the partition so that that folder is going to become as a 4 GB now. Because what is the file system what is the partition I'm creating here? 4 GB. But folder where the folder is available under 2 GB partition, that E drive, there is no limitation that I have to create only this much size for a folder mapping. Okay. This is very useful how to create a partition without drive letters. Generally, database server, there are requires different partitions. To fulfill their requirement, this is the option. Okay. So data 1, select next. Same, the file system format and everything is same. No is changed. Whatever the server administration, we are going to do only NTFS. We are not going to do FAT or FAT32. Remember that. Okay, if any application requirement they have need in FAT32, we can create. It doesn't matter. But by default, we are going to create file system NTFS only. You should understand what is a file system, what is a partition, what is a MBR, what is a GPT. Okay, from where we started. Okay, how we are creating. Okay, the sequence you should understand. Okay, click next. Finish. See what is showing here? Logical drive, healthy logical drive. What is the path it is showing here? Any drive letter representation? There is all drive letters are available for one volume. There is no drive letter assignment, but it is showing capacity is 4 GB, free space is 3.95 GB. Okay, that in the sense, the data 1 folder where the path is available. Okay, go to data E drive. Cancel. Cancel. Open. Open data E. See, 1 second. As soon as you created, unselect that. Unselect. Open. See, previously you should differentiate. The representation of the folder changes. Previously it is a folder. Now the representation, the icon representation changes to something else. Okay. So that in the sense, that is not a folder. That folder is mapped to one particular partition. Okay. That size, what is the size now? Size it is showing, see, right click on data 1, properties, See, what is the size? It is going to size the under size, the type under size, it is going to show as a 4 GB. Okay, so that in the sense, this is not a folder. Okay, it is representing a particular partition. Okay, cancel and right click on data 2. Previously we noticed we created two folders, data and data 2. You can clearly differentiate what is a folder, what is a file. Click properties. So see, this is a folder representation. What options are coming for data 1, what is the options are coming up data 1. Okay, you can differentiate. Okay, this is a way you can click, you can mount a partition to a particular folder. No need comparison. No need comparison. Leave it, Srini. Okay. So this is a way I'm going to create a drive letter assignment. I'm going to assign a folder for a partition. Okay. For a partition. What is a partition I created? Any primary partition, any logical drive partition, or anything I can assign either drive letter or assign a folder. Okay. To complete my requirement. Now close this and open disk management. This is of creating what is a partitions, how to create partition, other options. Now, I'm going to, the requirement is to expand existing disk. I need to expand existing disk. What is the possible options? Okay. See, there is a two unallocated spaces for C drive and one more unallocated space for disk 1. Okay. There are two options are available. I'm going to show you the basic disk and dynamic disk. Okay, basic disk and dynamic disk. So I'm going to right click on C drive. Okay, I would like to expand the C drive space. Right click on C drive, expand. While going to these options, okay, be careful while doing. Okay, expand. Next. Whatever the size it is showing, 10 GB it is showing, click next. Finish. See, whatever the unallocated space, it is added to existing 110 GB. Now it becomes 120 GB. Like that, I can increase the existing size of the partition. Now, the same condition, unallocated space is available, for example, in other the disk. What is the possible options? Okay. If, for example, generally many operating systems, server operating system, in a single disk, what they do is they'll create a C drive and D drive and E drive in a single partition, single disk. Now they would like to increase the C drive. C drive is nothing but what is a C drive? C drive is a boot and other partitions. Okay. Sometimes what is the limitation? The operating system is going to work on only basic disk. It is not going to work on dynamic disk. Okay. What is the option dynamic disk where the concept comes in? For example, in this disk 1, there is a data E. Okay. New volume is there. Different drive letters are available. Okay. So I would like to increase the F drive. Okay, or E drive, for example, data E drive, I'd like to extend. Unallocated space is available, but I cannot extend in a basic partition with the E drive. Okay, where the dynamic concept comes in picture. If I have a physical server, I have a disk 1 and disk 2. Both are different disks, but I need to make it both use of a single layout. Then the concept comes in dynamic concept. Dynamic. I can add any size of the disk to existing disk as a secondary disk, not an individual disk. Okay. I'll create one more session. We'll cover for 30 minutes for other troubleshooting once this space is over. Okay. So once the session is finished, please rejoin. Whoever have time, please rejoin. We'll finish one in an additional 30 minutes. Okay. So what it is going to happen here, the disk, how to extend unallocated space. Now right click on data E and try to expand. Here what you need to understand, not there, under disk management, data E drive, the first one, right click. Here, very important thing is, you should never click mark as a primary active partition. Generally, the system partition, the boot partition should be active. By mistake, without knowing, if you select a mark partition as active, that in the sense, you are changing the booting options. The system is not going to come online. If you select other than boot partition, if you make it as other disk as a mark partition, and if you reboot the server is not going to come online. Please take care of this point. You never click on mark partition as active anywhere. Okay. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to extend the value. How it is possible? What it is going to do? Select extend value. Next. There is a 10 GB is available. I can select 10 GB. Next. Finish. See here it is showing what is the option it is throwing. I am converting this basic to dynamics. That in the sense, even it is a single disk, the space, free space is available single disk, and partition is available at the beginning. In between this, there are multiple partitions are available. If there is no multiple partitions, I can add in a basic concept only, like we did on C drive. In the same partition, I can add an unallocated space to existing disk. Here, the concept is different, that because before E drive and unallocated space, there are different partitions are already created. There is no possibility to add free space to any drive. I can allocate unallocated space can be added to the last partition. The last partition only I can add. Okay. So from E drive, what I'm going to do, as soon as I selected unallocated space, it is going to convert from basic to dynamics. Click S. See what happens here? It is converted, entire the layout, it's converted to simple volume. This volume is nothing but, see, if you select a disk 1 under disk 1, under disk 0, what is the option is there? Under disk 0, it is showing as a basic. Under disk 1, it is showing as a dynamic. Have you noticed that change? Disk 0 showing as a basic. Disk under disk 0. Okay. Under disk 1, it is showing as a dynamic. Okay. What we did, whatever the disk, the color also changes. Okay. That color you call it as a dynamic disk. Whenever you are adding two disks together, that is a dynamic disk. Okay. We can expand, you can add additional 10 GB also, you can add 1 GB also to this any drive letter. Automatically it converts to dynamics disk. But we should not perform this operation on a C drive, system partition, boot partition. We should not do. Okay, make sure that. Okay, one more thing. Under basic disk, right click on disk 1 or disk 2, right click. Disk 1 and disk 2, right click. I can convert to dynamic disk. Okay, I can convert to dynamic disk. There is an option should be available GPT disk. When it is possible GPT disk, it is possible only single layout. Right click on disk 0. Okay, convert to dynamic disk. If you do so, it is going to throw an error. Do you convert to disk dynamic disk? Disk 0, select OK. If you say don't click convert, okay. If you click convert, what it is throwing an error? It is going to throw an error stating that